Welcome to the Indiana Basketball Postgame Show, live from Hoosier Hanks East. Now, here's your hosts, Todd, Leary, and Jim Coyle.
Hey, everybody. Welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat Radio productions of After the Game with Todd Leary, of course, coming to you from Hoosier Hanks East over off of College Mall Road here in Bloomington, Indiana. Appreciate everybody at Hoosier Hanks East hosting us here tonight. Big group of fans that were here earlier watching the Indiana game. Todd Leary, of course, our analyst. And, boy, that was all kinds of crazy stuff going on there.
A lot going on.
We'll start with I was still at the game, and I went to use the restroom, and all of a sudden everybody's leaving, and I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, this is a tight game with 11 minutes to go. Where's everybody going? And then I saw the fire alarm going off, and it was nuts. Everybody, they emptied the place out. And we're dealing with this stupid camera that's going to drive me insane till we get this stupid gimbal thing on the right mode. But appreciate you being with us, of course. Indiana getting a win over Wisconsin, a solid win over a team that was 2 weeks ago in the hunt for the Big Ten title until they lost to Purdue. Allegedly. But yeah, so but from the start, Indiana they got off to a good start in this game. Yep. They were really pounding the ball inside.
They can hear me. They don't need to see me.
We'll get it eventually fixed. But just Khalil Ware, and what a night for him. Great start, 21st half points, 7 rebounds. Ends the night with 27, and I don't remember how many rebounds he ended up with.
11, I think. Great
night for him. Just for Indiana to get the win. How important is just that, getting a win?
It's huge. I mean, it's obviously a big deal. That's what they're there for. That's what they needed to do. They needed to get, I'll say, the monkey off their back, just to be cliche. But I mean, they needed something good like this to happen. Like, they needed the opportunity to build on something. They, even when you had made good plays and done things well, still losing, like, you're not able to build on that. And so that's when you look at this scenario, and I think there are so many different things to take away from this game that I really hope the coaching staff and players are able to do that. Like, there are so many lessons that they can learn from substitution patterns to how guys played together to plays that they actually ran. There's a lot that can be built on from this. Yes, the win is huge, gigantic. That's what they really needed to have happen. But there's a lot they can take away from this to really build on. And I know the skeptics and people that are trying to look for something down will say it's too late. And whether that's the case or not, like, they actually have a bunch of stuff that came out of this game that, and here's why I say it this way. Because when they were playing well, they were doing certain things, and I'll explain this in a minute. But then when they started struggling, they went back to playing their offense the way they were before. And so I'll kind of elaborate on that a little bit here. By when Indiana was just trying to pound the ball in the post, they struggled. They had virtually no turnovers in the first half. I think 2 at halftime. And the second half, they really just turned it over. And almost every single turnover was just trying to feed the ball in the post. And that's because you can't do that at this level. Like, what they did in the first half, drive and penetrate, kick the ball, run the ball screen with Trey Galloway. Trey Galloway had 6 assists at halftime off of just that ball screen motion that we're kicking the ball out for some shots. We missed a bunch of shots in the first half. Could have had an extended lead, but to focus on the positives, like, they were moving the ball around and not just trying to pound it in the post. That's what I hope the coaching staff takes away from this and realizes, hey, our offense looked really good when we did this. It looked really bad when we did this. And the bad part is just trying to feed the ball in the post. I know we got great big guys. I want those guys to be the leading scorer of every game. But at the end of the day, like, they cannot be the team that just sits there and tries to pound the ball in the post. We've proven that's not going to work. So I just hope there's so many positives that come out of this. Fans can me included, all of us can relax a little bit and enjoy, a game that you beat a good team, easily the best team that we've beat this season. And so, we have to be happy about that. But at the end of the day, like, there's some really good things to take away from this that hopefully we build on.
Yeah, and one thing that I don't want to lose sight of, Xavier Johnson returned tonight. And if you don't think that there was a difference,
there's a difference.
Let me tell you, there was a difference, and it was almost instantaneous.
Yeah.
On, like, within the first minute he's in the game, he made a play, grabbed a ball, got the ball up the floor quickly. I think he got an assist.
Right. He got a long rebound and kicked it up for an easy layup. That's something we were not getting. Okay, that's something where, Gabe Cupps, as good as I do think he's going to be down the road at this point in his career, he is not looking to be aggressive and make things happen. Xavier is. We all know Xavier has one speed, and it's full blast, and sometimes it's too much, but sometimes you got to reap the rewards because there's negatives with it. But, man, he made a big impact in the limited minutes he was in there. He made a big three. I could tell he was, he missed 2 free throws, which is not like him, but you could tell he was trying to work his way in versus just come in and start taking over. And that's a good sign. That's a leadership sign. And man, there were so many good things.
I mean, he had 5 of Indiana's turnovers, but that's probably a little rust, but it's also trying to make some stuff happen.
And it's also trying to feed that ball in the post. Like, you go back and look at when our offense struggled and when our offense was flowing and difficult to guard. And, we put Tyler Wall in foul trouble. You put Tyler Wall on the bench for them. I know he's not a gigantic scorer, but he is the heart of their offense or of their team, not their offense. And so many things run through him. And when he's not on the floor, which we got him in foul trouble by pushing it up and down the court, that's another benefit of playing different than what we've been playing.
I don't mean to crack on Gabe Cupps, it's not what I'm trying to do.
I'm not either.
He has got to be the only guy that starts for a Division I team in America that averages 2 points a game.
Now, that might not be the case. Probably pretty close, but it might not be the case. But it's not just the points, Jim. It's his limited production. Like, it's not like he's averaging 6 assists a game or no turnovers, or he just is. He's just moving the ball. Like, he's a facilitator of the ball. And
he had no turnovers.
That's a good thing. That's great. And I'm not ripping him. He's going to be an outstanding player. This I can guarantee you. He's going to look back on his career when he's 50 years old and realize the difference between what it's like playing as a freshman and what you're like as a senior. We'll look back at this down the road and forget that he struggled in his freshman season.
No anchovies tonight. I actually had somebody come up to me at the game. Before the game, I was sitting on the sideline watching them shoot warm-ups and say, hey, man, I was listening the other day. He goes, no anchovies. Like,
nobody likes anchovies.
Probably no anchovies on the pizza tonight either, and there was not. Inside joke for you guys that don't follow us along. Trey Galloway, 12 assists.
Okay,
that's a lot of assists.
It is for a person in his position. Now, he kind of took over the point guard role, which I'm only using that term because that's the term that most people use. He was the facilitating guard tonight. He was the guy with the ball in his hands the most. Sometimes that's a point guard. Sometimes that's a 2 guard. Sometimes some people play it through their power forward. But in tonight's game, good things were happening when he had the ball in his hands.
12 assists, 2 turnovers.
Yeah, I mean, good things were happening. He was making things happen. It wasn't luck. You can't luck into 12 assists. So just a lot of good things overall going.
He didn't miss a free throw.
Did he not take one?
No.
Yeah.
You can't get anything past 2.
Nope.
Absolutely. Indiana not horrible at the free throw line tonight, but kind of just a little bit better than Indiana, normally 60%. But luckily for them, Wisconsin is not a prolific three-pointing team. I looked at that coming into the game. They shoot like 34%. So I'm like, all right, so they're better than Indiana, but who is it? But this is not a team it's not like you got Boo Buie and Ty Berry and all these other guys
right
out there that you have to worry about. And when Indiana was having the success that they were having, especially with Kalel Ware in the paint earlier, it was like, wow, they looked good, and they would get out and get a lead, but then they'd let Wisconsin back into the game.
Look, I'm telling you, I've watched a lot of Wisconsin basketball this year, and I'll tell you, different guys across the country get a lot of credit for being transfer portal guys that have helped a program. And I'm telling you, AJ Storr is.
You think Rick Pitino doesn't want to have him back?
This is what I'm telling you. This is what I think of AJ Storr, and it's my opinion. So obviously it's not fact, but it's my opinion. Outside of Zach Edey, AJ Storr is the best offensive player in the Big Ten.
Wow,
and I think he's that good. Now I said this in the game the other day, in our show the other day. He's got some riff, like the coaching staff doesn't like his shot selection. I keep hearing announcers mention his shot selection. So I'm assuming they've had interviews with the coaches, and that's something the coaches have been bringing up. Something with the coaching staff of Wisconsin and AJ Storr has taken him out of when he was playing great, and that's when their team was playing great. And you saw the first half he had 2 points. And the second half, he came out and I bet you just kind of said, screw it, and took over. And that's when they were tough to beat again. That's when I really thought Indiana was in trouble, when AJ Storr started, being the AJ Storr we saw at the beginning of the season. And so this is not a Wisconsin show. I understand that. But Indiana was a beneficiary, I think, of coaching staff and player not being on the same page, because the first half he was real quiet, didn't do a whole lot. Thankfully for Indiana. And then the second half, he became much more aggressive and involved. And that's what he's impossible to defend. Like he's the best perimeter player in all the Big Ten. And people argue the kid from Illinois, Terrence Shannon, but man, I'll tell you what, from an overall game perspective, consistency, I would take this AJ Storr guy over anybody.
Indiana's shooting tonight was lights out. Of course, I know a lot of that came in the paint. But
when your big guy's 10 for 11 or 11 for 12,
there
or whatever
he was. Missed one shot almost all night long. Ended up on the night just missing one shot. 11 of 12. But also you got Malik Renew. He was 6 of 8. Not a ton, but boy, he had 14 points and 8 rebounds. That's a nice addition.
It really is. And the limited minutes that he played, he sat out so much with foul trouble. He couldn't be aggressive. That whole play at the end, I don't know how close you got to watch that, but he misunderstood something the coaches told him to do, because his 5th foul,
when he almost grabbed the guy,
intentionally fouled. And you could see him on the bench mouthing, "I thought you told me to foul," which at that point, as a player, you've got to know you've got 4 fouls. But I'm not planning to place any blame on it. Hey, it all worked out at the end of the day. We're all happy. But that scenario was weird, because he heard something that the coaching staff didn't say, because there's no way they were telling him to foul. It made no sense at that point. So just a lot of things that could have gone wrong that fortunately, we were due for some things to end up the right place.
Yeah, there was another time I saw he did not close out on a 3-point shot. I think this might have been in the first half. He didn't get out, didn't close out, and you could see him and Woodson were talking all the way down the court. And I'm like going, well,
and that's okay. And that's okay. Like, that's you want that. That's something I think Coach Woodson took some flack for, being overly aggressive with Malik Renew a couple of weeks ago and yelling at him and getting on him and saying stuff about him in the press conference. And Malik's playing better than anyone. Like, maybe that's what it takes. Maybe we got to go old school a little bit. But at the end of the day, players made plays like that. That sounds stupid. That sounds like I'm trying to make up a saying, but the players are the ones who can make the plays and put points on the scoreboard. And they did that. And they was almost kind of, I don't want to say improv, but it wasn't it wasn't the offense Indiana's been running. Okay. And so that's what I want everyone to learn from and build off of. And when I say that, I mean players and coaches. And, they don't care what we say or think, but I certainly hope they watch this video, or not the video of the game, and recognize what was good and what was bad, And the bad part was when we ran half court offense, like every time we started to slow it down, I screamed at the TV. Like it just drove me nuts that we were slowing it down. When we were flying down the court is when we were tough to guard. When we play half court basketball, we're really easy to guard.
This team is only at its best when they're getting up and down the floor.
Hey, I don't even want anybody to complain about turnovers for the rest of the year, because I want us to have more turnovers because I want us to play faster. And let's just get to the point where we have to accept the turnovers and deal with what happens and play faster and shoot faster and let all of those things.
It's a lot easier to accept that when you have someone like Xavier Johnson to add into what you have, because you can move those guys in and out, and you can use Gabe Cupps more to where he's not out there as much, and you can bring in Xavier, and he gave him a burst. There's no
question. And we all probably expect him to start, like from here on out. Injury wise, he looked fine. I don't care about starting lineups and who plays. The minutes are what I care about, and I think we'll see him play the most minutes. This is a better team with Xavier Johnson on the floor. There is no question about that. Take the turnovers, take whatever. The more comfortable we get him, I can assure you this. I can speak to this in that Xavier Johnson is not the kind of guard you enjoy playing against. Okay, he's difficult to play against. And as an opposing guard. So I'm telling you, the more we have him on the floor, I don't mean this to sound as negative as it's going to sound, but no one fears Gabe Cupps right now. Like, it's not like he
doesn't give you a reason to.
I know he's not producing anything. And so people do fear Xavier Johnson because defensively he'll get in your grill, and offensively he's strong and fast and aggressive. And so, there's a lot of things to build on. I know it's late in the season. I know fans are already – there was a lot of people I saw today on Twitter hoping Indiana loses out so that they fire Mike Woodson and all that.
That's not happening. And I keep telling you, that's not going to happen.
But I think those people are probably going to be negative no matter win or lose. And I'm not trying to rip anybody. We all want as many fans as we can get. But if you're a fan, you're not rooting for – like we're not winning the draft lottery or anything like that. There's nothing to gain from losing. Mike Woodson is not going to get fired this season, no matter what. And so let's just
Indiana needs to end on as positive a note as possible.
Let's look at it from what the possibilities are. Could this team get to the final game of the Big Ten tournament? Yes, they could. They really could, especially if they have a good finish to the season and they're not playing on that first day. They're going to be playing on Thursday no matter what. But let's get to that point where we can win 4 games. I want to play Purdue in the finals. Like, I want to get to the point where Indiana can have a chance to get to that final game. And then you're playing for, then the sky's the limit. Anything can happen at that point.
Truth be told, this team is probably one player short of kind of being able to compete with most of these teams that they've not been able to win against.
Well, you know what they are, Jim? They're like a month behind, because if they would play this, I think they're going to learn a lot from this game. If they'd have learned a lot from this game a month ago, we would still definitely be in the NCAA tournament conversation. A lot closer than where we are. We wouldn't be ranked 100. But we're at that point, and we are there. So let's just control what we can control. Get a little bit better with the games that we've got left. If you can beat Michigan State at home to finish the season out, go into the Big Ten tournament with a little bit of momentum.
This is the first win over an NCAA tournament team, isn't it?
I would think so. I mean, Ohio State was probably our best win before this one. So,
oh, boy, that's not saying
But there's a lot of – you know what? It's crazy. Like
Ohio State went on a normal game after that.
In a normal – Ohio State beats Purdue.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, in a normal season, like, it would be so far out of it, it wouldn't even be worth talking about. But this is not a normal season. And I don't just mean for Indiana, all across the country, because there are so many teams that are in the tournament, that are considered tournament teams, that don't have quality wins. Like, there's just, based on conferences that you're in and things like that, or based on a good win early in the season, This is just a different year. Like it's an odd year when it comes to the NCAA tournament. There's not going to be very many Big Ten teams in my opinion. I mean,
there
four
was
maybe.
6.
No,
there was 6,
Yeah.
and then I'm down to 5.
Man, there's be 4, I think, at most.
I think 5 gets in.
They're going to need some good into the season.
That's horrible as it is.
Well, I mean,
it's like a third.
Who would you consider? So Purdue and Illinois are in. And then where do you go from there? I don't think Northwestern's a guaranteed in.
I think they're going to get in.
I think they're going to get in because I don't think they'll lose the rest of their games.
I think that Nebraska's going to get in.
Yeah, that's questionable. Wisconsin's questionable.
And I think Wisconsin will get in, even though they've gone
Michigan State,
Michigan State.
Yeah.
See, now they're.
I disagree. It's not a disagreement.
It's
my opinion.
They're right. Yeah, they're all right
I think
here.
based on the end of the year, how Nebraska, Northwestern's probably in. That's probably the stretch I have because of their quality wins. They have that one terrible loss to Chicago State, but their quality of wins is so big. Like they're probably in. But Michigan State, Wisconsin, and Nebraska are all teams that are very questionable as to whether they're going to be in or not. And they still have to do some stuff towards the end of the season and get some quality wins. Like I'll tell you right now, if Michigan State loses at Indiana to finish the season out, that'd be tough for them to get in.
Well, especially because we don't know what's going to happen between.
Indiana's the best. Like from a roster standpoint, Indiana is the best. What are we now? 15 and 13 team in the country.
And Michigan State has to play in Simon Skjodt Assembly Hall.
No one wants to play.
And this little bit of win is going to feed the crowd. The students are still in. They were there tonight before the fire alarm busted out, but
hey, they came back too. I was shocked at how many people came back, how many students came back in.
I wasn't able to see it because I went ahead and left to come over to do this, but I'm shocked too because there was a lot of cars leaving.
I mean, at Maryland, at Minnesota, and Michigan State at home. That's your final 3 games. Like
those are you.
You can't tell me any of those.
Did you ever? You never played at Maryland, did you? You played at Minnesota up in the barn. Just a freaking
cold. It was always cold. Like because the doors are. It's one of the. It's like Butler Field.
They call it the barn for a reason.
Really old places, and the doors always seem to be open. And there was always a draft. Like you could almost, if you played a day game there, which we lost by 50 the last time I ever played there, legit 50 points. You could see outside, like you could from the tunnels on the court, like you could see up the ramp and outside. And sometimes those doors would be up. Like that place is always cold, but it's a great shooting venue. Those raised arenas, just like Butler Fieldhouse, those are always the best.
Why is that?
I don't know why. I don't know what it is about
depth
it.
or
there's something about the springy floor that makes you feel good as a shooter. I don't know. Maybe I made it up, but I always shot well at Butler Fieldhouse.
What about Chrysler or up in Michigan?
No, it's not a raised floor though.
No, but it was dark.
I like the bowl. Yeah, and I like the bowl. It's like Purdue.
Dark.
I like the bowl setting of those. The darkest one always was Iowa. Iowa's because you go down, you walk in and go down, and there's no light.
That's
anywhere down there.
Have you been to Dayton?
Uh-uh.
You got to walk down a ramp.
Really?
Yes, to get down into that thing. Absolutely. See, Tony asking, what am I eating? Well, I'm not eating my normal. The usual is Jim's starting 5, which that's I little birdie tells me that's going to be coming onto the menu. The starting 5. You can create your own starting 5, your own 5 toppings, so Todd does not have to deal with the banana peppers. He can ignore the great taste that they bring to a pizza and change whatever he wants. But I'm actually having wings tonight for the first time, and they are delicious. The little buffalo sauce on the side. I thought I'd switch it up a little bit tonight, as did Indiana. They switch it up with a win. And just to see that they haven't packed it in for the season, that has to be exciting for the fans, because they kind of had packed it in, and because they thought the team may have packed it in, and yet you've got Xavier Johnson coming back for the 14th time from injury to play.
Well, I mean, look at it.
It's like Pat Graham.
you look at it this way, like, we all as fans, and I'm this way also, so I'm not singling myself out from everyone else. Like we can more easily look on to next season or move on to next season a lot different than the players can. Like we don't know what's going to happen with Trey Galloway. Does he come back another year? Does he not? Is this his final few games in Assembly Hall? We know it's Xavier's final few games in Assembly Hall. Is it Khalil Ware's final few? Like those things start to get on your mind, and you start to play for something a little bit different. Maybe it should have got on their mind earlier. But I think there's just so many things to build off of. Like I hope the coaching staff watches like this is one of those games that it was so blatantly obvious how stagnant our offense was when we just tried to pound the ball inside versus when we were getting up and down. Khalil Ware scored the majority of his points not off of post feeds. So, and that's like all they got to do is watch his baskets alone. And they were not off of post feeds. They were off of guys driving and kicking it to it.
Trey Galloway was pretty active for Trey Galloway.
Yeah, well, I mean, 12 assists. Like there's probably not been,
it's hard to get.
I shouldn't say this. There probably not been 10 games in an Indiana uniform of any player ever with 12 assists.
That's hard. I mean, that's a lot of assists.
I might be saying
unless you're Caden Clark
there, but that's a lot. Yeah. The Indiana just doesn't like nobody has the ball in their hands like that kind of time. Like maybe Isaiah would have years ago, but he shot so much. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like maybe Tom Coverdale, guys like that might have, but it just was, nobody had their ball in their hands that much in my day. Like, to come up with that many assists.
Christina says, Indiana played a whole 40-minute game, made threes when they needed to. X-backs, that happens when he's back. It wasn't just him, but his presence definitely helped.
Yeah, being out there on the floor, for sure it does. I mean, and I made a statement on Twitter before the game. I said Indiana needed to make 7 3-pointers in this game and shoot 75% from the free throw line. And then I came back and thought about it, and I'm like, no, because I don't want to get to the end of the game and make a bunch of 3-pointers in a comeback effort. Like they needed to make at least 3 threes in the first half, and they did that. And I'm not trying to say like what I said came true, but it puts them in a better position. If there was another game with 0 3-pointers at halftime and we're down by 5 or 6 or 8 or whatever it is, it's just a completely different kind of game. And if this team can make 4 or 5 3-pointers in each half, and yes, I know that's asking a lot, but that's what it takes. Like that's what it's going to take for these guys. I don't care if Khalil Ware's shooting it. I want Malik Renew to keep shooting it. Keep shooting those threes.
Fred talking about ask what's your view of it says AAU star Mackenzie Mbako, but Mackenzie Mbako,
hey, he made a big shot when Indiana was down 3.
Not only that though, he was just named Big Ten Freshman of the Week again. He averaged 14 points, I think, over 2 games last week. He has another 14-point game tonight. Stop and think about freshmen that score. There's not a lot of freshmen in Indiana that score that many points.
Agree.
Look, he's kind of quietly coming along doing his thing. It just hasn't been as flashy for people.
If everyone had played the role that we all thought they were going to play going into the season, and that would be Xavier Johnson, Khalil Ware, Malik Renew, Trey Galloway, if all those guys had played up to the levels of what we expected, Mackenzie Mbako's numbers would be better than what they are right now. He would be the beneficiary of a lot more open looks. That's not been the case. So let's look at it for what it is. And he's matured a lot. He's a much better player now than he was, a month ago for sure, and 2 months ago. And this is something I always say out to people in this scenario. And I'm one of the ones I have to remind myself of this. Mackenzie Mbako did not name himself a 5-star. Okay. Somebody else classified him as a 5-star. So it's not like he came in saying, hey, this is what I'm going to do. We kind of expected that's what he was going to do because someone else called him a 5-star. And I'm not saying he's not a 5-star. I'm not saying he's not a pro. I'm saying for a freshman at this point in his career, he's a player that just about every coach in the league would want to have on their team. And he's producing pretty darn well. And he's improving, I think, game by game. He has a setback here and there, whatever. But I'll say this, Jim, and I'm just going to keep riding my momentum on this. The faster we play, the better off it is for McKenzie and Mbako. When we slow it down, the whole team for sure, but especially Mbako, when we slow it down, he starts to think more. The plays just take too long to develop, and when you tell a guy,
the defense gets set.
This is what's tough. When you tell a guy like McKenzie Mbako, I want you to feed the ball in the post, okay? He's pretty much going to feed the post, whether it's open or not open. And that's not what you want. That's where you want to be able to have a guy that I'll say thinks a little bit more on his feet and is like, okay, well, I'll pass it to the next guy and he can feed the post. But McKenzie just hears, I'm going to throw it in the post, and he throws it in the post, and it's not great. And so that's why I think when we're playing faster, we get guys up and down the court. McKenzie's a lot better off in that scenario. One, it's what he's more used to. And two, anyone playing his position benefits from playing faster in that case. You know, the only people that don't benefit from playing faster is Malik and K-Ware. I'm calling him K-Ware from now because I like it. K-Ware takes too much.
K-Ware's that's good. That's nice. I like that.
K-Ware.
I like that. I also like the fact that someone said, did Woodson call for the code red?
What was code red?
Oh, come on, man.
I know the song. I know
man. From the movie.
I know what it's from. But
I don't know what that means.
I
was just dipping on the movie reference. This was John, the producer from the Daily Show. He's too young, doesn't know any of these. I got great jokes all the time.
He can't handle the truth.
Fly right over. He cannot handle the truth. Flies right over his head. Great pickup on that. Good comment there. It says Fry likes anchovies. Who's Fry? I don't know who Fry was. Christina, it was a very good play, very well played game for IU. Yes, especially from what we have seen here of late. I'll be honest with you. I did not think Indiana was going to win another game. And I understand.
But hang on a minute. To your defense, they've not played like this. Like I'm the first one. I'm telling you straight up, our offense has not played like that. We have not come out, and they came out playing that way. We didn't come out walking it up the floor, just trying to pass it in the post. We were moving the ball. We were getting up and down the court, and that of course we wouldn't have thought that was going to happen because it's not happened in the last several games. Our next game is at Maryland or at Minnesota, one of those two. If we don't come out flying up and down the court in that one, we will lose that game also. Yep. That is a major factor in whether we win or lose.
Every game they play, they have to make the other teams.
A great comment there by Fred bringing that up was Indiana will no longer be in that Final Four if they can beat Maryland on the road. They're probably move themselves out of that spot and not have to play that first day, which is a big difference.
Let's see. Give the game ball to the guy that pulled the fire alarm. I don't know.
Fire in the concession stand. I don't know. I didn't love the timing of that. I wasn't sure we were going to come out. Let's just say this. I would not want to try to outthink or outsmart Wisconsin because they're a pretty smart, they're a pretty high basketball IQ team. And it takes some mental toughness to come back out and get going and all that. And we probably haven't talked about that enough. Indiana did a great job of regaining their composure when they fell behind after coming back in that lull of time. That's not easy to do. It's impressive.
Travis doesn't not like post-game shows. Indiana's trash. Why on God's green earth are you watching one then? I have to ask you that. That would be my first question.
But you know what? Look, like you're right. Hey, you know what? I don't like announcers. I don't like any, it's all BS. It's all a bunch of crap. But we're Indiana fans and we're nuts and stupid. That's what we do. We're good at it.
Jesse said to prep for this game, he watched the last minute 16 of the 1992 Duke IU game. A guy named Todd Leary came in and hit 3 threes. He would have hit 4 if they would have saw him wide open on the right side.
It's easy to say I would have made it now. I didn't have to shoot it. But boy,
dude, there was two of you over there. There was somebody else over there with you.
I would have loved to have shot it. I promise you that.
I think that everybody else would have liked to see you. I love Jamal as much as anything.
He's probably, hey, I'll tell you what, as many people as I have had over the years bring that situation up to me, I can't imagine how many have said something to Jamal about taking the shot.
Yeah.
Because it's been a lot to me.
What are you going to do? So Indiana gets a win when they need it. It's not like it's going to help their season. It's not going to change anything for them as far as what the end of the year seems like. But this has great implications for going forward, period. For this team, for recruiting, for who comes back, who's not back. All of that stuff.
Hey, this is what's bad / this is what's great about Indiana. And as bad as everything has been, look at this, Jim. And no one can argue this state. This is the fact. Our football program was in the tank, in the dumps when they finished their last game against Purdue this season. And right now, people are unbelievably excited about the football program. And they haven't played a single game. And my statement has nothing to do with the football program. It's how crazy we are as Indiana fans. Because if Indiana can get some momentum right now and have some stuff to build on going into the end of the year, we don't have any idea what it's like in the transfer portal. We don't know who's coming back. We don't know all of this. But what we can control right now is playing well to finish the season out. And if they can do that, the momentum you ride into the summer, everybody stops talking about the new coach situation and Bruce Pearl and Dusty May and Fred Hoiberg and all the different.
Fred Hoiberg? I haven't heard that one.
Oh, I've heard them all.
Really?
Yeah.
Here's a funny one. Matt says he thinks that they needed the rest and a manager pulled the fire alarm in the second half. He also started the fire in the concession stand.
Hey, cool. Good work.
Absolutely. So now Indiana has 3 games remaining, 2 on the road, and then they come back home to take on a Michigan State team who needs a win. Every team they're playing,
everybody in the Big Ten needs a win. Like all these teams that
Maryland's trying to stay out of the bottom 4. Minnesota's trying to stay out of the
trying to make
bottom
the
4,
tournament and trying to make the tournament.
And Michigan State's trying to make the damn NCAA tournament.
Total. They all 3 of them are. Maryland's more in Indiana's category with that. But Minnesota, if they could sweep and win everything out and make a little run in the tournament in the Big Ten tournament, they easily make the with their net ranking, they would make the NCAA tournament. But Indiana can be the team that, hey, you know what? March is called March Madness because crazy stuff happens all the time. And when's the last time we got to be Indiana and have something crazy happen? We could win the Big Ten tournament. We'd have to do some crazy stuff would have to happen. They have to let me come in and work with the guys to shoot the ball. But I'm going to say if they do those things, they got a chance.
There's just some little things they got to fix, like you just talked about. Little
shooting would make a gigantic difference. We only made a couple of shots tonight.
Well, they didn't have to shoot a lot of free throws, luckily.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Khalil Ware made all of K Ware made all of his free throws, so he really helped them in that scenario.
4 of 4 now.
Coming off of a game where he missed 4 in a row.
Yeah, 4 of 4. McKenzie was 4 of 5. Xavier. Uncharacteristically, most missed both his. Peyton Sparks hit 50%,
which is above average for him.
Remarkable.
But I mean, hey, you know what? They've got to continue to get a little bit better. If they can make some shots, if we can figure out a way to get me to be able to work with just a couple of them, then they've got a chance at making a run.
Indiana shot 62% from the field tonight. 62.
Yeah, 11 of 12 was the. I mean, look at our points in the paint. Like it has to be a million.
Yeah, 42 to 38.
Yeah, actually, but I mean, 42 is the number that.
Actually, Wisconsin is the 42.
38 then. Like, yeah, you expect both of those teams to score most of their points in the paint.
As they did. Bench points, that's something Indiana has gotten 0 out of lately. They get 11 to equal Wisconsin's 11 points off the bench, but they've been getting nothing there. So,
and they got some good contributions again from Anthony Walker. I think, the minutes they're getting from him are great right now. Like, those were not minutes we were getting 3 games ago. So very positive from him. And quite frankly, with Renew's foul trouble tonight, we could have been in big trouble. If nobody comes in and plays good defense, and Anthony Walker did a great job, I thought, of defending inside there. And Wisconsin's not an easy team to guard. They're smart.
Another Indiana, only 12 turnovers for the game, which is not a lot.
2 at halftime, so 10 in the second half.
And only 3. They only forced 3 from Wisconsin. That is on the heels. Rick Bozich wrote something the other day that they only forced 3 against Northwestern, I think, as well. So they're not really pushing
but
turnovers.
Indiana is never a team that extends pressure a whole lot, and I don't want them to. We did a good job of staying out of foul trouble outside of Renew today, and so I don't want to change any of that. We're not going to become a team that's going to do 40 minutes of hell out there and create a bunch of turnovers. We don't need to be. We just need to be solid on defense and stay back. But Wisconsin's not a team that runs up and down the floor a lot. I don't expect them to turn it over very much, and they didn't.
Do you know how many free throws that Wisconsin shot and hit?
No.
2 of 3.
For the game?
2 of 3 for the game? I don't even know how that's possible.
We went over. What's Travis talking about like we went over?
I don't know.
He doesn't like me. That's okay.
Nobody. That's
Most
all
people
right.
don't.
That's usually my line.
I'm good with it.
But yeah, so next up for Indiana, they've got to continue this. They've got to take this on the road.
On the road. Got a Sunday game this week, and so you got, Sunday games are weird on the road.
They've had a lot of time in between games.
Yeah, we must have played a lot of games early on.
Well,
in a row.
That makes me ask, why do they cram all that into December? Oh, we got to play these 2 Big Ten games early, and I'm like, well, why? You have all this open time.
Yeah, I'm with you, but I mean, not everybody. I feel like every time you turn the TV on, Purdue's on, but then you go look at the schedule, and they've had quite a break also. So I don't know. It is what it is.
Dana's got it.
It's not going to change.
Dana has got it. Says Indiana needs to play up tempo more. There's no doubt about that.
Yes.
Speaking of which, make sure you stop in and say hello to Benny and the guys over at Hoosier Hanks East, over off of College Mall Road here in Bloomington. All kinds of great
chicken wings.
I'm digging on the boneless chicken.
I had that last
tonight.
week. So far, I've tried the majority of things on the menu, and I haven't had anything that wasn't great.
I've been sticking with the pizza, but tonight I was like,
it's hard. I'm a pizza nut, so it's hard for me to get away from that.
All right, I got to break the deal tonight.
Benny's been nice enough to hook me up with pizza and something several times, so I've been able to try.
Plus, they were here watching the game. They have Peacock here, so you can come in and watch the games. But you can always come in and watch the games, not just the IU games. Whatever's going on, they've always got the ball games. Whatever it is.
Benny gets all the credit. Wyatt's awesome.
Benny and the Jet.
Wyatt's awesome.
They're all
Nadia.
Awesome.
It's Nadia, right? Yeah. Nadia's awesome.
He's like, look at him. He's
Benny,
a walking encyclopedia.
Benny's like the headliner. Like, he gets all the credit. I'm not sure he deserves all the credit. I'm kidding.
I cannot thank everybody enough for tuning in. As always, of course, here on After the Game with Todd Leary, brought to you by our good friends here at Hoosier Hanks East and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Make sure you go to Andy Moore to get the best of new and used vehicles, and then stop by here, drive your new car right on over to Hoosier Hanks East, and they've got delivery now too, right? Third part on like Google or Uber
DoorDash,
Eats and DoorDash and
up until 3 a.m. Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
What?
What?
Open till 3 a.m. on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
I thought it's 10:09. I think it's late now.
Man, it is.
Okay, thank goodness.
Holy cow. Well, we're back tomorrow on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Tune in with us and join us tomorrow. What is tomorrow? Wednesday. So that means Rick Bozich is on. Kyle Nedrip as the Indiana Boys Tournament gets underway this week, man. Something you're very familiar with, former state champion at Lawrence North. Lawrence North, they were number one all year long. They've lost a couple games, but they're still Well, they're one of the teams.
Don't count them out. Never count them out.
Who would? You can
Never
never
count
count those guys out. Big thanks to everybody, as always. So grateful to you. Look forward to hopefully seeing you in here next time. You can always come in after the game, whether it's a home or away game, for the post-game show after the game with Todd Leary. That's going to pretty much wrap it up for us tonight. Grateful to you, as I said. Stop by and visit any of the guys here at Hoosier Hanks East. And until tomorrow, for Todd Leary, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.